modulations move from a given key to any of its distantly related keys, which are defined as those keys derived from consonant triads that occur on each tone outside of the given key. To achieve a chromatic modulation, there mustn't be a common diatonic pivot chord. In this video, the following methods of chromatic modulation will be examined: mode mixture, augmented sixths, diminished sevenths, and the Phrygian second. Let's begin with this example. This excerpt begins in E major. However, after the first line, it modulates to the parallel minor E minor. This is what Tchaikovsky refers to in his textbook on harmony as a transient modulation. It is not the harmonic goal itself, but a passage to the goal. The excerpt then modulates to the goal, the flat submediant C major, a chord of mode mixture. Note the path taken. The first modulation to E minor is quite simple, as the two keys share the same dominant. Thus, as exemplified in this example, a cadential progression can be repeated with different resolutions. The first resolves on the tonic major, and the second on the tonic minor. The temporary tonic of E minor is then reinterpreted as the median of C major, the ultimate harmonic goal. The key of C major is achieved through mode mixture, and is itself a chord of mode mixture in the original key of E major. Here's another way of illustrating the path. Watch the animation. Another example. In the second line, the dominant seventh resolves to the tonic of the parallel minor F minor, followed by a cadential 6/4 on the flat mediant A flat. The tonic minor F minor is reinterpreted as the submediant of the ultimate goal, the flat mediant A flat major. Note the path taken here. The first modulation to F minor is quite simple, as the two keys share the same dominant. The temporary tonic of F minor is then reinterpreted as the submediant of A flat major, the ultimate goal. Note that the key of A flat major was achieved through mode mixture and is itself a chord of mode mixture in the original key of F major. Here's another way of illustrating the path. Watch the animation, and also note that chord 4 in A flat major could have been included here. However, the chord, as it occurs in the excerpt, is an extension of chord 6. It is contrapuntally derived from chord 6 through the 5/6 technique. And thus, as the nature of the chord is essentially non-functional, it's pure expansion, I have opted to omit it from the illustration here. So the previous two examples illustrated the use of mode mixture to achieve the keys of chords that are themselves mode mixture. However, modulation to keys of secondary mixture triads can also be achieved. Augmented sixth chords can facilitate such modulation. Consider this example in C major. The tonicization of 6 initiates the pivot area, serving as both a tonic substitute in the home key and as an intermediate in the ensuing key. The chord is then converted to an Italian augmented sixth by quite simply raising its ruder semitone. The dominant follows and is prolonged for several bars until finally resolving on the tonic of 3 major, E major. Note that the dominant prolongation also includes mode mixture, specifically tonic minor 6/4 chords. illustration of the overall modulation process in this excerpt. We know that the excerpt begins in C major and that the goal is E major. The chord progression looks something like this. We also know with certainty that these chords belong in each key as shown. It is the key to which the chords in between belong that remains ambiguous. So we can say that these chords serve as a pivot area. What else can we say about the chords here in the pivot area? We know that A minor, chord 6, belongs in E minor as chord 4, but it also belongs to E major as a chord of mode mixture. Also D minor, the chord 2, belongs to A minor as chord 4. Thus the entire passage can in fact be understood to be in the key of E major all along, with the first three chords functioning as expansion of the intermediate harmony chord 4, A minor, itself a chord of mode mixture. In this way, the modulation from the original tonic of C major to the mediant E major can be seen to be a more complex and lengthier process than a simple pivot chord. The extended tonization of 4, coupled with the Italian 6, collectively serve dominant preparation. The dominant itself, the 5-7, is then extended over several bars, as we saw, until resolving on the long-awaited E major. Augmented sixth chords are particularly useful in chromatic modulation. The unique nature of the German augmented sixth chord in particular, that is, its oral similarity to the dominant seventh, permits modulation to distantly related keys through enharmonic reinterpretation. Examine these two harmonies. That they are identical in content, but are spelled differently. The first is the German augmented sixth and leads to 5. The second, at first may sound like the augmented sixth, as the ear has just heard the resolution of the same chord of the dominant. However, it is understood in retrospect to be the dominant seventh, that is E flat dominant seventh. This is because of the resolution to the tonic it implies, A flat. Thus the chord in question serves as the pivot chord, functioning as the German augmented sixth in the home key and simultaneously as the dominant seventh in the subordinate key. Another chord prone to enharmonic interpretation as a means of modulation is the diminished seventh. The inherent symmetrical nature of the diminished seventh allows composers to exploit the potential for modulation to both close and distantly related keys. Take for example B diminished seventh, the leading tone seventh in the key of C minor or C major in the case of mode mixture. If the A flat was instead spelled as a G sharp, the key of A minor or A major, the latter of which a very distantly related key to C minor, can be easily accessed. If enharmonically respelled as a D diminished seventh, the key of E flat major or minor, the latter of which a more distantly related key, can be easily accessed from C minor. Finally, if enharmonically respelled as an E sharp diminished seventh, the key of F sharp minor or major can be easily accessed from C minor. The key of sharp 4 or flat 5 is one of the most distantly related keys to any given tonic, yet so easily accessed through enharmonic reinterpretation of the diminished seventh. It's worth noting too that, unfortunately, composers are not consistent in the way they notate enharmonic modulations using diminished sevenths, and augmented sixths for that matter. Take for example this excerpt, which begins in A minor, then modulates to E flat minor. The G sharp of the pivot chord G sharp diminished seventh is not enharmonically reinterpreted as A flat until after the pivot. One final chord to examine in relation to chromatic modulation is the Phrygian second. Consider this example, which begins in C minor, then modulates to A flat major. The Phrygian second is understood in retrospect to have functioned as 4 in the key of A flat major.